Hey everybody, thanks for listening to Podcasting by Brett Thomas. Somebody told me a couple days ago that my podcast name was unoriginal, but I don't think they understand the nuances that go on in my living room. So it's pretty original. I don't think there's a podcast that has the name Brett Thomas in it. It isn't the most common name, but it's a common name. And I don't really think there's many podcasts that have podcasting in the name. They have like podcasts, like the pod that saved America. But I think this name's pretty original. Maybe it's not, but it's kind of like, Polo by Ralph Lauren. That's like the whole thing is like it's an elevated thing over here. And some people don't get that, but you guys do. So I really appreciate it, what we do over here, the Podcasting by Brett Thomas living room. But I really appreciate it. I just want to talk about I'm going to talk about Airbnbs today and the decline, but I just want to talk about a little bit about my week. I did a show and this drunk woman ruined the whole set because she was just nonstop talking. And I even got an applause break because I shut her down and she just kept talking. I told her this is the time to stop, and she just kept on talking, ruined the whole show. But I mean, it was a free bar show, so what do you expect? It wasn't even like heckling. She was just, her table talk was so loud, and people felt bad for me. And people in stand up, it's really hard for people to feel bad for you because they usually expect you to be funny. If you're not funny, they're just like, you're terrible. Even if you're not their cup of tea, but you are funny. So that was something. I think people told me I handled her well. So I thought that was pretty good. She just ruined it. And there was like a band like behind me and kind of like next to me. And like that kind of threw me off a little bit because like I thought they do the dun if like, I told a joke and it wasn't funny. But they didn't do that. But what they did do was like I could hear them starting to play like the drums. I threw me off because like I'd like wait a second. I'm like, what's going like like to the left of me, back left. I got like them playing their instruments a little bit to where the crowd can't hear. To my like front left, I have just this woman just being obnoxious, and I have like a whole room of people that actually want to listen. But unfortunate for them, I really couldn't do my jokes. I just slammed this woman repeatedly, and usually if the crowd hates like a heckler, you can just have fun with it and be kind of mean as long as it's like teasing. So that's how my set went. Also, behind where the show was going on, they had TVs on, and I asked them if they put on the USA Network because it was Friday and SmackDown was on, and the bartender was like, yeah, we got you. And he said, no. Then they didn't do it. Like, I literally asked on stage. Like, I walked up and said, hey, give it up for the host, give it up for the band, and give it for the bartenders. And I said, hey, can you do me a favor and put on SmackDown when I'm done? Because when I get down, SmackDown's going to start. And they did not put on SmackDown. It's not going to bug them and keep asking. It's like, whatever. We watched golf and whatever sitcom was on TV. So we didn't get to watch the SmackDown. But I did go to a show like a month ago, and I didn't really watch anyone's set because they had hold wrestling pay-per-views on the TV, which was pretty sick. And I asked her, like, the bartender, I'm like, are you a wrestling fan? She's like, no, but my boyfriend is, and I usually put it on for when he's here. I'm like, it's really nice of you. Thank you. I only say that because that's why I like if you liked Star Wars and she put on Star Wars for him, I'd be like, no, that's not so nice of you because that's not my interest, because it's about what I want. It's about me. That's like how like the whole like world works. It revolves around you and your own head, and sometimes I gotta remember it doesn't. But some people don't even think that. It's not even a thought in their head. Like it just naturally revolves around them. Speaking of Star Wars, though, this one drunk woman I know, she was like, she's not always drunk, but she was at a bar and she's asking, she's like talking about Star Wars, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't really know too much about Star Wars, and she's like, oh, I thought you were into Star Wars, and I was like, oh, why do you think that? And she's like, oh, because you're nerdy. And I'm like, oh, are you basing it off like 2090s and before time of nerdy of just having glasses? Like that's what like nerdy is? Like, I don't know. I feel like since the 2010s, like being like a nerd has been cool. Like a lot of adults say like it's cool to be into like the Marvel universe. Like that's been a big thing. in theaters for a very long time. I've never really gotten to Marvel. I'm into Batman. I like Batman a lot. I think his like villains are really creative. But like the nerd culture type stuff I'm into. It's just like professional wrestling and maybe comedy. And like I like old adult swim stuff. I'm a nerd about that. I feel like there's really no like you nerd out about things. Like you can people might hate me for this, but you nerd out about sports. Like people know all these different like players and years and times and like records. So like that is kind of nerdy. It's just like a not nerdy thing, sports, but you can nerd out about anything. Nerd out about like makeup, uh, there's so many like different things. We talked about some last previous episodes about just getting to hobbies and just like getting to stuff you love. Like you don't have to be into like to too much stuff. Just something to distract you from the world and all the crazy stuff that's happening. Like podcasting by Brett Thomas. Like you could nerd out on this. So but that'd be cool if you nerded it out on this podcast and gave it a like and follow. If you really want to nerd out on this podcast, share like a clip or I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. I appreciate you guys for listening. This is what happens. I mean, I've gotten better at like apologizing to people as much because you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for what I did. So deal with it. But I do say thank you a lot because I am appreciative. I'm an appreciative person because like in life, no one owes you anything, and so like I say thank you a lot because I am thankful. And people say I say thank you too much, but you know what? I'd rather say hey, I'm thankful a lot than not say thankful and not be thankful. There's so many like people out there. What I notice is like I always hear the phrase "nice guys finish last." And then people talk about that now and they're like, oh, with sex. And no, that's not what it means about sex. It means that nice people get walked on. But the truth is if you're nice, people will want to be around you and do things for you, not necessarily like using them, but you'll have like more of like a network. But if like you're just a mean person, like people aren't gonna want to be around you. People always like, oh, it's business, business this, business that, But like to be honest, if I had the chance to pick a plumber and the one guy was mean to me that I know it's a plumber, I just go with someone else who might be nice. I just wouldn't. That's just how I am. I stopped going to this car mechanic because I'd call him and he'd tell me that my car is a piece of garbage. He literally would. And so I was like, I'm gonna stop going here because like I don't want to hear that. I just want you to fix my car. You know what I mean? Being a mechanic's like I'm not like crapping on mechanics. So mechanic is a skill that takes many, many years. But like I'm not calling you to hear about how bad your opinion on my car is. I want you to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So I'd appreciate if you just fixed it. Like when I do stand-up comedy, I go up and tell jokes, and if my jokes do bad and I don't like the audience, I'm not like berating the audience at the end and be like, I didn't like you guys. I'm just like, hey, thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed somebody else on the show. Sometimes they're like, no, I did not. But that's the price of coming to a comedy show. You might enjoy it, you might not. And to be honest, I like the shows where I don't enjoy the comedians the most. I usually enjoy like bad comedians. So that's just me, but I won't get into all that. But I got a cat and I love him to death. But like I don't understand animal cruelty because like whenever my cat is sitting in a spot I want to sit at, that's his. I don't move him. Like, and I don't have. I could move him. He's my cat, but like, why? He's comfortable. Like, just let him live. Let him be him. So I don't understand how people can be cruel to animals. I know that's like a hot take, but like, if my cat, his name's Tigger after Winnie the Pooh, the tiger and Winnie the Pooh, if he wants to, you know, lay in my spot in bed, I'm gonna have to lay on the floor. And that's okay because I love him and I respect him and he's a living being in my house. So I don't understand animal cruelty. People are like sick. I don't know. Some people do some like crazy things. Like I know some people that like if a dog pees on the carpet, they rub their nose in it. I'm like, dogs can't speak English, so they don't understand like what you're doing. They just think, why are they doing this to me? They don't like learn. Now, granted, I've never had a dog, but like I don't understand how to train a dog if they peed on the carpet. But I know that is incorrect. Probably take them out more. That would be it. Sometimes, like if they don't go pee right away, let's let them hang out there, and then they'll eventually go pee. That's not abuse. It's just like they do gotta like learn how to go to the bathroom like in the right spots, and then eventually a dog pees somewhere and then they own that spot. That's like territory. Like my cat, he does safety checks every night before bed, then he comes up and hangs out in bed, and then if if I move too quick, he runs away. Even though he's like trying to protect me, he faces the door to protect me and my wife. But then if I like, I move around in my sleep a lot, then he'll get scared and run away. So he's running away scared from the people he's protecting, but that's all right. We love him because in his mind, he's the protector. So that's fine. He can do that. All right, I'm gonna make an M&M tier list of the best M&Ms, and in my opinion, here they are from best to worst: Easter M&Ms, Christmas M&Ms, regular M&Ms, and then the 4th of July red, white, and blue M&Ms. Sorry, America. That is my tier list of the best to worst M&Ms. And I know, like, oh, where's peanut or caramel cold brew? No, they're all the same, just chocolate coated with different colors, but the Easter colors are better. Like, I can't really explain why they're better. They just taste better. Like those like light pastel color M&Ms, they taste better than the regular rainbow colored M&Ms. Well, I mean it's brown, but they just taste better to me. I could really wolf down some Easter M&Ms. They are so much better. The 4th of July red, white, and blue M&Ms are terrible. They're not good at all. Even though they're like the same chocolate, they're just not as good. I don't know. It's my tier list. Sue me, but that's how it is. I just wanted to get that off my chest because I got some Easter M&Ms from my mother-in-law from Easter. If you listen to the last podcast, which if you haven't, you should check it out. I talk about how my mother-in-law gets us all baskets. So I got her some baskets, and how I was going to have to take my basket back if this year she did not decide to get this 29-year-old man a basket, but she did. And so I got to let her keep her basket, and she gave me some Easter M&Ms, and so I really enjoyed those. Those are really good. I love M&Ms. I love chocolate, but that's enough about that. I'm going to talk about my main thing I want to talk about was like the decline of Airbnb. And I think Airbnbs are on the decline because they cost more than a hotel and you have to do chores. Now, it would make sense if an Airbnb was cheaper than a hotel and you had to do chores, because I get it, you're paying less money, but you have to do something. That's how services work. The less money you pay, the less you get. But now it's just ridiculous. Like Airbnb is like ridiculous. And then like every like house can have like its own set of house rules. Like if you go to the Hilton, the rules apply at every Hilton, but every house is owned by like an individual person. And it's crazy to see the decline of Airbnb, because I remember like during the pandemic, I was watching all these hustle culture people talk about it and how it's a great investment. And now it's just plummeting. It's crazy to see that. And it also is a good lesson to go, fast cash isn't real, and there's no easy way to make money. You gotta work like a job at a cemetery and do a podcast on the side. Oh, you know what I mean? Or you gotta get like a real job, or like do like long-term investments like the S&P 500, where they're not glamorous, but it makes you money, it's compound interest over like decades. And then that's how you really build wealth. It's not like all these get rich quick schemes of, I'm going to buy an Airbnb and charge more than the Hilton and not supply toilet paper for people. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like at these Airbnbs, like I see like videos a lot of like hosts, and they're like, oh, I'm checking out my Airbnb, and like, oh no, there's trash on the ground. This was terrible. And then they go in the house and there's blankets on the floor, and like I told them to clean up their blankets like a parent. It's just like they paid to be here. And at some Airbnbs, like they don't allow guests, which is weird, because when you rent an Airbnb or a hotel, you are a guest. Like that's why hotels are better, because hotels do not care what you do in those rooms. Like look at the Las Vegas shooter. He snuck in so many guns and ammunitions. They didn't question how many bags he had. Like, why do you have all these bags, sir? That's why hotels, they don't ask any questions. They say, oh, you can't have your friend over because they didn't pay or it's not allowed in the rules. Like, it's just like crazy. And it goes to show that people like are control freaks and they love controlling. If you can't like not control what happens and like let off the leash a little bit, don't own an Airbnb. I talk about this, about how like billionaires, they do some pretty evil, sinister stuff. But like all these people, like billionaires, are terrible, and they would do the same thing if they were in that same position. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like all these people, like think about like they actually do worse stuff because they don't have like an HR or that big of a public image to like look bad on. Like I've worked for companies that have treated me worse than like billionaires ever have, because on a smaller scale, because there's no HR department. Like, what are you going to do about it? Take me to small claims court? So at least like billionaires have like a code of conduct they have to do to protect you from them. But these small businesses, they get away with so much, like on a smaller scale. But if you magnified it up, it would be so much worse than what these billionaires are doing. And so it goes to show it's not necessarily a billionaire problem, which it is. It's a people problem, because all these business owners are terrible. They'll not pay you. And like, at least like, you go work for Amazon. I'm not sticking up for, I can't even remember the guy's name. I'm having a brain fart. Fuck, what's his name? Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, I can't believe I didn't think of his name, probably because I'm not a corporate shill anymore. But, if you work for Jeff Bezos, you won't have to ever worry about not getting paid. I've worked at jobs where they're like, I didn't like your performance today, and you wasted so much time for 2 hours, you're not getting paid the whole day. So like Jeff Bezos would never do that. Now I'm not saying he's not evil, but like look at all these like all the small businesses, like they just like, I don't know. They're evil, but like it's on a small scale where like billionaires, they might exploit millions of people, but then like these small business owners will exploit 5 people, but make their lives a living hell. But like you don't really see it much because they're not newsworthy of making it. So like we gotta start treating some of these small business owners and like people like they're billionaires. They just don't have the resources to exploit people like Jeff Bezos do. Airbnbs, it's also easier to hide cameras in the rooms. It's hard for hotels because like, it's more risky for a hotel employee to put a secret camera in the hotel room because there's only so many suspects. But if you have a secret camera in Airbnb, you only have to answer to yourself if you're the host. So you're the only one that sees it. And that's why like, I know it's weird. Like there's more privacy at a Hilton than there is at like Joe Schmo's basement. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I think for like personal safety, a hotel is better. And also you get to deal with the hotel staff and customer service if something crazy does happen. And let's say, God forbid, something awful happens. The Hilton has settlement money, but the person who owns an Airbnb to make extra cash probably does not. And another thing too, like I'm not trying to be corporate shill, but like, I don't know, like all these like companies, they have to treat you with some level of respect so you come back and they have a good reputation, because there's like laws in place, and at the end of the day, they want to make money. You know what I mean? If they could treat you how they wanted to, like, have bed bugs and nothing happen, and no lawsuits, or they won't lose business, they would. But at least there's like rules and laws and reputation that they adhere to. Some like nameless person that owns like a house in Orlando does not. And another like crappy thing that like happens that like the Hilton would never do is like, for instance, let's say you book a room and then there's an event like a metal festival. There's tons of those, like Incarceration Fest. Hotel's not gonna be like, oh, we didn't realize that there was a metal festival, so we're gonna cancel your booking, and then you can rebook but at a more expensive price because it's like there's gonna be a surge of people trying to come live here. That's happened to people on Airbnb. They're literally like, oh, we're sorry, so we'll cancel it, and then you can buy it. You get a room for 500. Like, oh, we didn't realize there's this like crazy thing going on. There'll be a high demand, so we're gonna cancel it and do $1,000. That's just like greedy. And like also like you're breaking a contract just because you want more money because you didn't do the research. That's on the host's fault. The host didn't do the research. So I'm just like tired of small businesses. Because like I went to a small business today, and I'm not gonna name it because as much as I don't like some small businesses, I'm not gonna try to get customers away from them. Like I'll talk crap about Walmart and Amazon all day long because that's not gonna hurt them. But like there's a small business I went to, right? And it's like a little boutique with t-shirts. I'm like, that's awesome, with like, like local artists. I'm like, I wonder how they survive because they don't make much money. You go there, the biggest size they have is extra large, but the fabric is like 100% cotton that will shrink. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, once it shrinks, the size they have is a large. It's so crazy. They're taking away a big part of the population with their customers by not having bigger sizes. Like it's just like a store, and like they literally have like shirts that literally just say hot dogs on them and like mustard and ketchup for like the Guardians and just like different food stuff. And I'm like, the people that would wear clothes with food on them are people that like to eat. They aren't like skinny people that are like, oh, I only eat Whole Foods, which is fine. And like I eat clean. They're not going to be eating hot dogs or mustard. That's the bigger people. And it's like, just because you own a business doesn't mean you have business sense. And like they're probably gonna go out of business soon, not hopefully, but like they don't cater to half the people. So it's just like crazy to me, all these small businesses and how they do. I see people complain about coffee shops and how they don't want to go to Starbucks, but they want to support like an independent coffee shop. But then the independent coffee shops open 10 to 6. And it's like, I've already been working by then. And like for me, my first breaks before 10. So it's just like, I can never go to a place like that. I don't like coffee, but like sometimes like the big corporations, they suck and they're evil, but at least they're convenient. I don't know. I feel weird. I just came on tonight. I just came on today and just started talking about how great the monopolies are and how great these corporations are. Like Walmart, they can't even afford to like pay their employees like a livable wage. The number one employer with people on EBT is Walmart. That's the biggest, that's so big. And they can't even afford to pay their employees a livable wage. That's terrible. I think if you work, I think everyone deserves a livable wage, despite what some people think. Because like, oh, a job at McDonald's for teenagers. Well, who's gonna make your McDouble while you're at work? You're gonna take the kids from school and be like, you got to work because adults shouldn't be able to work these jobs, but you have to. So we're going to have to take you from your book learning and you're going to have to start shoveling some McNuggets in people's mouths because we can't afford to pay them a livable wage. That's how I feel. Corporations are evil, and the local shop or restaurant you might want to support might be the equivalent to Hitler, but they just don't have the time, money, and resources to exploit that many people. But they exploit a few, and that's still pretty messed up. So don't give your business to people who exploit. That's impossible, actually. It's just like living life and trying to be socially conscious is hard nowadays because, it's just like you just got to do what you got to do to survive. And, see people supporting Amazon, don't judge them. You got to do what you got to do. And I don't know. I think Amazon should pay their workers more. I mean, everyone should. We're all underpaid except, the CEOs. I'm not usually like one of those people that's like eat the rich because usually whenever I've seen a person with an eat the rich t-shirt, I just go, what a way to tell people you're poor. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like that, but like but at the same time, like some's got to give and some like I'm lucky I live a nice life and some people live a nice life, but this is not the American dream anymore. And I think like the prices need to come down and just like I think everyone needs to stop extracting as much money as possible, all these microtransactions. Then there's like sports gambling's made easy. You can like with Klarna, you can like finance a t-shirt or DoorDash. I'm pretty sure about this. Klarna doesn't charge interest because they're banking on all the late fees from the people who miss a payment, which that is just so crazy and like predatory. But also at the same time, we got to teach people financial literacy to where they're not financing a t-shirt or like Starbucks. I get it, times are tough, but if you need something to eat, go to like a food bank and that'll help supplement, where you got and try to find like a discount grocery store and just it's hard. And I mean, you got to steal, who cares? It's from Walmart. Their feelings won't be hurt. But I've been dug on Walmart a lot today, but it's just like crazy out here. Someone's got to give, we need the economy works best when money's circulating from top to bottom, not just at all the top. So just I feel like I got really dark and negative, but you know what? Just try to be a good person, try to be good to the people you love, and try to be kind to strangers, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. And just try to make the best out of this life. And no matter what hand you're dealt, just try to be happy, try to be positive, and you got this. And bad things happen, and just take it with the chin, and just be sad for a little bit. But you know what? You gotta do this because don't end things. if things get too bad, because I want to see you all thrive. I just want you to be happy, and I just want what's good for everyone, and try to be a good person. And life sucks, but sometimes there's like good. Try to find the happiness and the bitterness. But you know what? I really appreciate you listening to my podcast. Let's kick some ass this week. I hope you have a good day. I love you.